Boom. Hello, hello. This is Peter Palmiotti, and this is Making Comics and Art, episode 275. And today I have Trisha.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Peter.
My pleasure, my pleasure. So I'm going to switch my camera out. I don't have real work. I mean, everything's work, but let's see. What am I doing? No, not that. Camera. Okay. Oh, I think I have my thing unplugged. Hold on. Yep. It's all part of the. It's all part of the show.
Yes.
All right. There we go.
While we're getting situated, I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, share one of my favorite reference books. So, whenever I have whenever I have downtime in between projects, I sketch and I draw. And one of my favorite ways to sketch actually is by referencing these really cool Dover books. And I don't know if they still make them anymore. This one was published in the 90s, I believe, but I bought it on Amazon a few years ago. And but these books are really cool. Like this one is Victorian Florals, and so it
And
has really cool reference photos that I just like to look for inspiration and just to look at the
if you want
history
to,
of what other artists did.
yeah, if you want to do a close up, we can make it
Oh,
big.
hold it.
So yeah, you can see it much better now. Sweet.
Yeah. So there's just some really cool, and I love history and I love things that are from the past because I think that the quality is just different
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
these are so pretty and ornate and I mean my work does not look like anything from these books, but I do just enjoy looking at them for kind of the fluidity more so than the actual artwork itself. Like I really enjoy how everything's connected. And
Right.
so when I sketch, sometimes I'll have these things opened, just like opened to a random page. Like look at that letter; it's so
Yeah.
beautiful. Sometimes I'll just have it open to a random page, and actually the page doesn't really turn once I just have it opened. Like I'm gonna probably just have this open today. Why not? I've never seen that page. So
Cool.
yeah, and then I just kind of like I do my own thing and I really enjoy that type of fluidity. Since it's Inktober, I don't know. I just figured it'd be perfect to sketch right now, and I just
Yeah.
completed I just completed a piece for my friend Christina, and she was one of the victims in the 2017 Las Vegas shooting, which the anniversary was just on October 1st. So it's funny how life comes at you like that. Like it's really wild. My friend barely escaped death because
Yeah.
the bullet went through her arm and into her heart. So yeah, so I just completed that, and I think you may have shared that on your Twitter, um, or possibly not.
I put it on my uh I put it on the cover of this video,
Oh, cool.
and
Yeah.
I share all my videos out to my blog, and I'll share it on Twitter after the show. I'm a little convoluted today, like not doing
It's
my
all
normal process.
good.
Yeah, it will get spread around. So what? I'm getting my camera. There we go. Let me get. I don't know why autofocus always turns on and it's never focused. All right, there we go.
I love that you can see my Peloton in the background right here. Love that thing. So I'm kind of an insecure person when I sketch. That's why I'm not aiming the camera down. But don't worry, I'll show some of my work along the way. But yeah, just gonna be
I think what we should do first is because you're on my channel, and typically I have artists, more comic people than anything else. So give a quick bio of yourself and what is your work, because they're wondering.
Very cool. Well, hello to all of Peter Palmiotti's amazing friends and community and supporters, followers, whatever you want to call yourselves. My name is Trisha Rae Wong, and I am a Los Angeles-based artist and designer. And I guess we can go back. I graduated in New York City at School of Visual Arts back in 2012. And wow, it's been 10 years. And yeah, and then I moved out here, try to get into the advertising world, got into the advertising world, realized it was not really something I was into, or, I wasn't really into the rigor of going into an office every day. That was really challenging for me personally.
So you say out here, but people don't know what you mean.
Oh, out here in LA.
Okay.
Oh yeah, in Los Angeles. And it was just really hard for me to do a 9-to-5 kind of gig. And so at the time I was dating this person who had he still has a really cool studio out in Burbank. And he helped me make a few chalkboards, and I was like, I would really like to make some signs, because I love cursive, and I love figurative drawing and just drawing in general. And so he made me some 25 by 35 inch signs out of MDF board, which is like this really dense, heavy board. And he just found some on like the side of a dumpster, really. And but he cut them up, and we primed them, and we painted them. And I pretty much just got into the chalk art business from making signs for my friends' weddings. And I started out at the Beller Bay Club, which is a pretty cool wedding venue. It's a premier wedding venue in Malibu. And so I started off the bat doing really cool weddings like there and at Calamigos, like all of these really nice wedding venues. Actually, the my friend Christina, who's getting married, the survivor from the from the Las Vegas shooting, she's getting married at Calamigos in a couple of weeks. So I'm still doing little local pieces like that for select people. But I was very consistent about posting on my social media and my website. And sooner, before I could even imagine, people started reaching out to me for corporate chalk art pieces. And I didn't even see it coming, really. Wow, that looks so great. Look at what you're drawing. So I didn't really see it coming. And so, yeah, fast forward to today, I guess basically, yeah, I'm still a chalk artist and I'm still making artwork, and it is different from comics, but there are some of the same principles. I mean, I'm drawing. I'm just drawing in a different medium, and I'm still very much in the advertising world. I've done ads for different brands such as like Google and Amazon, Toyota Scion, which rest in peace. But yeah, and I've done some other artwork. And then most recently, or more recently rather, I was on a pretty big project for my friend, who is an incredibly talented artist, Tracy Lee Stum. I was very honored that she hired me to be on her team. And we basically collectively installed under Tracy Lee Stum approximately like over 30,000 square feet of artwork. And it was all hand painted and very detailed. Yeah, 30,000 square feet artwork. And there was about, I want to say like 10 people on the team at any given moment. So that was pretty intense. And I never thought it would, you know, my career, my path would like lead to that point. It was super fun. But yeah, so I love my job. There's, you know, it's kind of like any industry, I guess. I'm a freelancer, right? So it's like any freelance industry. It's feast or famine. But it's very similar to comic. It's just the only difference is, I guess, the subject matter, right? But it's and like maybe the process, but it's a similar foundation as comics in a sense where, you know, you pretty much do have to have a foundation of drawing. So I like to say that you can teach someone to paint, but you can't teach someone to draw. And if you can't draw, you know, I don't know. I really think drawing is something that you learn and you practice over time. Or you're just naturally born with it.
Yeah. So I think some people are like, I think my brother was like natural, just gifted off the bat. And, you know, I see my path as somebody who had to work for it.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
But you know, everybody starts out drawing and, you know, working with crayons and when they're really young. It's just those that are more into it, you know, it becomes a obsession of sorts.
Totally. I mean, drawing to me is so it can be really it can be a way to just almost like writing in a diary, like very therapeutic.
Right.
But I'm thankful that I've learned how to draw on command, I guess, or on demand in a way. Because I mean, as a working artist, you know, you some days you sit down and it comes to you like that. Other days you really have to push and like you could be at that drawing board for days, for hours, you know, and that's the harsh reality a lot of people don't want to admit or talk about. You know, and there are professionals, there are people who just it comes naturally. It's like, you know, it's like Lady Gaga writes a song in 12 minutes. There are people that have that gift and that style. But for me personally, you know, I have to keep sharpening the knife type of thing. Like I have to keep working at it. And when I'm in between jobs, I definitely, and even when I'm on a job, I'm still drawing. And even if it's on a napkin or if it's like with like a milky pen on my arm or something, I think it's really important to draw and to keep yourself, you know, in that flow.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like, you know, I have had periods, you know, it's like anything, like sometimes you do it more, sometimes you do it less, sometimes you don't do it at all because you're, you know, overwhelmed with other things in your life and whatnot. I have taken breaks more before I started doing it for a living. Uh, and
Mm-hmm.
and when I got back to it, I was like, oh, I'm better. Like
Yeah,
how does
sometimes
that
you need a
work?
break. Yeah, sometimes
Yeah.
you need to walk away and just, you know, I like what are some of the things that you do to stay sharp? Because I have hobbies and my hobbies keep me sharp.
Hmm. Um, well, I mean, I, I I walk a lot, like, you know,
I love that.
both for exercise and really like it clears my mind, um, and uh, and that's always helpful, because I got like way too much things going on and projects and work, and I'm working with other people and whatnot, and anything that allows me to step away and just relax
Mm-hmm.
um, is definitely helpful.
Very
But
cool.
Yeah, it's like I do a lot of this. Like, I do streams publicly, but I also just get together with fellow peers or just friends and chat. And I mean, I remember when I was still living at home. It's like I'd go on the phone at night, um, sit in our little hallway and on the floor and have the cord streaming from the kitchen to to the other side of the hallway. And just chat with friends for hours or until my parents kicked me off the phone. Um,
Love that.
but so I mean, I currently I'm getting back into reading. I'm forcing myself to get back into reading because I used to read all the time. One of the things about living in New York, and I was living in Brooklyn mostly, but other places as well. And then always headed towards Manhattan. Um, and there's all sorts of transportation, but mostly, I took the train, and it would at least be a little over an hour to get into the city. So I would have that time to, just read. And I don't have that kind of structure here. It's like I'm already at work. Like when I wake up and fall out of bed, I'm here. Um, and I really have to structure my day and say, okay, I want to read in the morning and I want to read in the evening. And I just gotta, realize that's my time and just do it. And once I get into a page or two, then I'm like, okay, I'm hooked and I'll be doing this for a while. But nothing, um, like reading is really, it really, it lets me focus on something else that isn't me. And that
Right.
helps my mental state. Like I could push out all my own thoughts and get into the story.
I totally hear you on that. I think it's so important to have moments like that, and it always feels so good reading. Like time spent reading just always feels so good. But for me, my hobbies, I have to have a hobby that helps me grow. I have to have a hobby that helps me relax. And when I say grow, there's like multiple ways to grow. So like um, reading would be one of them, and like learning and practicing things. And then also working out and walking every day. I'm totally there with you. I think as I'm 35 now, but as I've like entered into my 30s, I realized time is very precious,
Yeah.
and the hobbies that we keep, it's like, I mean, you can do whatever you want with your life, but for me, I'm like, why can't I have like a 2 for 1? Like something, a hobby, something I enjoy, but also a hobby that helps keep me, enriches my life. So I've
Right.
really come to, and it's not just hobbies, because I guess like cooking is a hobby for some people, but for me, cooking is an everyday occurrence. I love cooking. And last night I actually made some really awesome Ethiopian inspired lentil stew, which is delicious. And it was vegan, and I couldn't believe it was vegan. But anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's really great. I totally understand what you're saying about New York. Like I miss that structure. Even though I lived in Manhattan and I was able to bicycle around everywhere, walk everywhere, I still do miss going um, you know, on the trains and escaping the city sometimes. So that was really
Yeah.
nice. But, what can you do?
Well, I mean, it's like I loved living in New York, and I was born in Brooklyn, and my birth house was in Brooklyn, and lived there for many years. Still most of my life. And yeah, I love the hustle and bustle of New York, and before I did comics, I was working for some really big companies. And yeah, it was like being on the inside in some ways. And I enjoyed my experience, and I'll visit, but I was always like, unless I'm making six figures, I really can't live here. So that's why I chose Kentucky.
Yes, Kentucky. That's awesome. I mean, that's really great that you were able to listen to yourself and be proactive about your wants and needs, because there are a lot of people in this world that, like having a feeling of, knowing that you're not happy where you're at, and then people just being totally fine with staying there. And I'm like, okay, I guess, for whatever reason, who knows why they stay. But for me, I'm like, be proactive, just get it done and do something. I mean, I understand that not everyone's in a state where they can and should.
Yeah. Welcome, Wolfer. He says, hello, everyone. So
Hi.
yeah, we got our
Hello.
people show up in chat randomly.
Love that. What is up?
Normally it's when I stream consistently, more people show up, but I'm all over the place lately. So
This is off topic. Well, it's like on topic, but I love drawing the letter A. Letter A is so pretty to draw. It's amazing. I'm really sad that my name doesn't start with an A. But T's are actually really pretty to draw too. But that's really cool. I love that we have a community, and that's one thing that I'm really happy about being an artist, because I feel like there's always this community to fall back on and to like contribute to and to be a part of. And I love the camaraderie, and
yeah,
like it's everywhere. And art is competitive like everything else, and not everyone is like on the same page in terms of camaraderie and all that stuff, and I get that. For the most part though, I feel like if you look and you try, you'll find someone that you can connect with. And like we found each other. And
that's right.
and I feel like, but it's just like anything in life. It's like, yeah, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and nor are they going to be your cup of tea. And you just find whoever your cup of tea is, and you nurture them, and you're there for them as a friend, and you do what you can and what you want to do, and treat people with dignity and fairly with respect, right? So that's what I love about the art community.
Sometimes respect. Sometimes.
Yeah. Whoa.
Okay.
All right, Mafia. No, just kidding. That's fine. Like Peter's like has people in like a neck lock, a headlock. He's like roughing people up on the side. Like, no, just kidding.
So like
all jokes aside.
So yeah, I'm in a small town, and there's definitely a lot of arts and crafts that go on around here, and people like into things. They sort of have a street flea market once or twice a year, and all the people will bring their crafts and stuff. And there's actually I wouldn't call it an art store, but it has like paints and stuff, and they do classes with kids as well as adults and whatnot. It's not necessarily my scene because it's more for fun and amateur. But it is cool to still have creative people around. It's nothing can beat New York. So I don't even compare it. But you know, because like most of the artists I know, I talk to online, and you know, it's like I have artist friends around the world. You know, it's insane, but in locally, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, that could change on a dime. You know, I can run into somebody, and but what I do appreciate is, you know, you know, people here know what I do and appreciate what I do, and they're like, "Oh, I want to see your book when it comes out," and blah blah blah. You know,
That's so
um,
rad. It's more
yeah.
personal.
So I'm not only known as the crazy cat person, but I'm also an artist.
I love that. The crazy cat person. Crazy cat people are my favorite.
Yeah.
Oh. My friend's kitty had a little scare. It had a little abscess, but we had no idea what it was, and we were all freaking out the other week. So
Oh
I'm
boy.
very thankful September has long gone, but you know, we were able to stay calm and just get whatever we had to do done. But life is pretty wild like that. It just pulls a fast one on you sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad Kitty's okay.
Yeah, I know, little panther. So sorry I'm so low energy right now. I'm usually like I don't ever drink caffeine or anything like that, but usually I'm like a little bit more animated, but maybe it's just like I don't know, maybe it's just being 35. Who knows?
You're practically over the hill.
Yeah. Well, September was a pretty interesting month. I'm thankful that we're in October and autumn's like my favorite. I love
Yeah.
it's weird that I don't really do pumpkin spice lattes, but oh my gosh, I could kill a Costco pumpkin pie. Oh, those are so good.
Pumpkin pie is okay. Like I don't like I drink coffee all day, but I do not like the pumpkin variation. Coffee, anything. It's never worked for me. But I do like autumn, and you know, I mean, especially just walking around and seeing the trees, and
Oh,
you know, I got a lake nearby. It's really cool just to take it in.
so
Um,
beautiful. Mm,
yeah.
that's really lovely. I miss the seasons in New York City. Like I miss the snow. I never thought I'd miss the snow because it was pretty hellish dealing with it out there, but I do miss it. I miss the people the most.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely a different type of person out in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, I still have plenty of friends. You know, I don't talk to them as often. You
Right.
know, it's like I got certain friends that once I left town, that was it. I didn't talk to them.
Oh gosh.
Not because I didn't want to, but because they're like, you know, if you're not here, then I don't see you, then I'm not going to call you. I'm like, okay.
I mean, that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, yeah. It's like I don't talk to my friend in Dubai all the time, but we're still friends. You know, we still check in with each other once in a while. It's like life happens. You just have your own schedule and things
Oh yeah.
to take care of. But I'm super excited. This is off topic. This is truly off topic. I don't know if you're a fan of Frank Lloyd Wright, but I love his work, and I was fortunate enough when I was living in New York to see his House of Falling Water in Pennsylvania. But his Hollyhock House in Los Angeles just reopened to the public, and I'm going in November with some of my girlfriends to check that out, to go on a tour. So I'm super excited about that.
I wouldn't say I'm a big fan, but I wouldn't, you know, if I was in the neighborhood, I would go.
Okay,
Yeah, you know,
very cool.
art is art. You know, I've been to the museums in New York and stuff, and just, you know, I mean, loving art is why I got into comics, because there's amazing comic book artists. And it's like I always say, like I was never really a comic collector. I was an art collector. I follow the artists that work on the books. Yes, I love the characters and appreciate the stories, and that's it's a visual storytelling medium, but definitely got into it initially for the artist, and obsessive about that.
I love that.
But nothing's really off topic. It's just whatever we want to talk about.
I love this. Are these characters that you thought of?
I want to do more merchandise, so I'm just doodling. I sort of want to do like maybe a sticker pack with 6 or 8 different images. And I'm thinking of a theme like punk girls, because like if I'm a sucker for anyone, it's any girl with tattoos or piercings. Like, it's just my stupid male brain goes gaga over.
Everyone has, you never know someone's taste, right? So
yeah. So
there's something for everyone in this world.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'll just draw a bunch of feet for Quentin Tarantino.
Not a bad idea. No.
It's funny, like when I was living in New York, and we there's a bar we went to. My friend's wife was working there, and I wasn't there at the time, so but my friend ran into Quentin, and he was going to write a comic we were working on, which was it was my friend's comic, and he talked. Well, he kind of talked Quentin into wanting to write an issue, but unfortunately, Quentin's like mega busy, and it never happened. Hey, Devil Flyer, welcome.
Hello.
Hello to us. Hey, Peter. Hey, Trisha.
Hey. That's really cool.
Oh, well, it would have been awesome if he actually did it, but I always, I loved every movie he's created, and really appreciate, his writing.
Genius.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope to be that gifted one day.
You are gifted. Look at that. Look at those. Look at that hair. Oh, it's amazing. Like, hair is so intimidating. And I remember, like, the first time I ever tried to draw hair, I was like trying to draw every single strand. And then I quickly realized, like, no, you don't want to draw every single strand. That's impossible. It's not impossible. It's just.
Yeah. It's not impossible, but a lot of times, what I see is people that do every strand. It just looks like 100 strands. It's like it's got no life to it. You wanna sort of beef up some of it and drop off some of it, and
totally.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I think like that's the beauty of art is like, I mean, you can do it however you want. I mean, you could put a couch in the middle of the room and that's your artwork, or like just have a blank wall and that's your art. I could be a piece of artwork right now. There's no definition, but in terms of like when it comes to like figurative drawing and anatomy, I think it's really fascinating that like everyone has this idea of abstract art, but they don't realize that like what you're doing right here, this is an abstract representation of a person.
All
And
right.
so is a photograph. A photograph is also an abstract representation of a person. Even right now, I am an abstract representation of me because I'm being filmed. But a lot of people would argue, like, well, no, that's just like the style. I'm like, but yeah, actually, like, do people really have, like, I don't know. People can go back and forth on this argument. I know what I'm trying to say,
Right.
and I understand that abstract is a movement and a style, like geometric abstract type of thing, or like just Jackson Pollock abstract.
Right.
But if we're really getting technical here, like the only non-abstract rendition of a person is like the person in person. If we're gonna
Yeah.
get technical, like so. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's cool. That's really neat. I'm drawing a chrysanthemum right now. Should I hold up my art? Like, I mean, I feel bad. Like, I'm just kind of sketching away here. I'm just gonna hold up stuff I've been drawing while we're talking. I'm just
Yeah, let me put it.
doodling and practicing
Yeah.
letters. Nothing crazy. Um, sorry, this is probably not the best way to view work, but it's my way.
Yeah.
And I'm just currently on this. I'm drawing a chrysanthemum for fun because it's Inktober. Yeah.
Are you participating at all in Inktober, like directly, or just?
Way too much of a commitment? No. I'm like, I can I can draw every day. That's not the problem, but it's like I personally. Oh gosh, we're gonna go kind of a deep dive here on how I feel about social media. I personally I don't want to overshare on social media, and I also don't um for a few reasons. I'm gonna overshare why I don't want to overshare. But anyways, for a few reasons, I don't want to overshare my artwork because personally, I don't I don't like this feeling of feeling like a dog or something, like oh, like go sit, and it's like you have to sit when everyone's expecting you to sit. I mean, I'm a professional, and when I'm on the job and someone wants to see something, like, hey, can we like get it down in a quick sketch? Yeah, I can do that. But when it's social media, something that I have more or less kind of full range of control, like I'm in the driver's seat. I don't like to put that type of pressure on myself to feel like I constantly have to like one up myself and like give the viewer something that they want to see, or like um I know it's a big deal to like look into people's art kit and all that stuff, but I don't do that. I don't share like what products. For number one, I'm not sponsored. So
Right.
number two, what like I am pretty passionate about these the brands that I use, but I don't art supply, like with supply shortages going on around the world. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if I want to share my favorite products, and then all of a sudden, not that I'm like so popular or something, but like social media and everything like that, it catches on like a wildfire. It's like, well, I may not be so popular, but then what if someone else who's really influential catches on, and then it like, now I can't find my art supplies. Like, no,
Right.
and it really works like that. It really does. Like people take mundane objects and it gets into the realm of someone who is highly influential, and then next thing you know, it's a supply shortage. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm not just, I'm not talking about that just from like personal experience. No, but I'm talking about that from what I've seen. And I know it's a real thing. So that happens. It's a phenomenon that happens. Just the other day, like I went to Home Depot and I had a request for a sign made out of like crystal clear acrylic. Well, I told them, I was like, I'll go and look. I went to like, I want to say like 3 Home Depots locally,
Mm.
and all of the apps and stuff like that said like, oh yeah, we have 24 in stock, but those things are no longer reliable, for at least from my personal experience. Because when I went there, it's like they had every size except for the size I needed. And it was just like, and the reason why is probably because that is a very trending, people like that clear board for their signs. And I can't blame them. It's a really beautiful popular sign aesthetic.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so then I also don't share too much on social media because it really, at the end of the day, as much as I do enjoy sharing my process with select people on a personal level, I can set for me personally, and I'm only speaking for myself, and I'm not trying to like shoo on anyone who thinks different or who
Yeah.
conducts themselves differently. But for me, it's like if I like, for instance, if when you come to Los Angeles, I'll happily give you a tour of like and show you what I've got going on, whatever. And I think that for me, that's how I would like to present myself, is in a more personal way. And I don't think social media just sometimes feels like an invasion of privacy. Like people are just, like, cool, what are you doing? And it's just like, maybe I don't want you to know what I'm doing. Like just because I have an internet presence doesn't necessarily mean I want you to like go to the bathroom with me or like pick my nose with, like just do these like, and that's kind of, like artwork to me, it is personal, even though I am a working artist. Like again, I can
Like,
draw on command.
yeah, I mean, I can understand like I didn't get into, working in art or comics or whatever, like right off the bat. Like I went to art school and you think, okay, art school's done. And, I did a couple of years of college and just left. And, but I just got a normal job, something, just to pay the bills. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
even care and didn't even know in my 20s what I wanted to do. And it was, I started in art when I was 28, but I consciously made the decision. It's like, okay, I really do love this. I really do want to do this for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And then I tackled it. But before that, art was too precious. It was too precious a thing to like even conceive of making money off of it, or like
Right,
doing it
because
for
it
other
is
people.
personal.
Yeah.
So the little bit of privacy that I have in my life, it's like I really do value it. And and I'm not a museum. I'm not a museum. Like what I want to show on my social media is what I want to show, and I don't feel like I owe anyone, um follower or not. I don't feel like I owe anyone like this, grand reveal of like everything. Like magician doesn't tell its secrets, so why should I? Like I don't know. Like I feel like that's your right as a human. You don't have to share everything. You don't have to show everything, and that's cool.
I
Like, and I'm
yeah,
definitely going to exercise that right. So, because I just
there's
don't, it's not
definitely a
something
lot
I'm
of
comfortable
people.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people in art that not just comics or whatever, like every across all the different ways.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously social media is a great way to get your artwork out
Mm-hmm.
and talk about yourself and blah blah blah. But it's
Sure.
also like it's your personal thing to really guide it. It's not up to everybody else. Like what should be.
Right.
You know,
Right. Totally.
you know.
100%.
I know a lot of people that if there was an easier way to get their work out, uh, or just like if a company picked them up, say the very next day, and they would leave it all behind, like all this work that they put into posting every day and doing videos and commenting on other people's stuff and blah blah, all this work, all this it's like if I just could do my art and worry about nothing else, that's what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yes.
I felt that way. It's like to a certain extent. I mean, I was around before computers were a thing, and I loved sitting at home for 12 hours and working, and then like being done with that and going out. It's like
Mm-hmm.
and to have it so separate from everything else, because it was, it was really, it's a precious time working on art and getting in the zone and like to a certain extent, all this social media stuff, while it's effective in some ways, it's really just an interruption of really what you want to be doing.
100%. Yeah. And it's, here's the other thing is like, I don't necessarily want to post all the time on social media too, because there's an expectation on social media that like everything has to be perfect, and life isn't perfect. Life is pretty, again, just speaking for myself, but life can get pretty messy. And that's part of the fun and beauty and perfection of life, in my opinion. But everyone on social media just has this like expectation. And if you're not this cookie cutter idea of what they think an artist and an artist studio should look like and be like, then all of a sudden, okay, unfollow. And it's just like, that's why I'm like, I don't put myself up there like that, because having X amount of followers does not reflect what's in your bank account or what your morals and ethics are. It doesn't reflect that. So and yeah, and quite honestly, like, I know it gets clicks. I know it clickbait. People want to see like, oh my gosh, it's so satisfying seeing all this like art supplies like organized and restocked and all that stuff. And like I'm sure if I posted something like that, it would get a lot of clickbait, but I'm not doing it for that. And for me, I have a whole different intention, and um and I have a whole different set of principles. And I'm not saying like other people who do that stuff is like morally incorrect or anything, but for me, I just conduct myself in a different manner, and I want to present myself in a different manner. And like doing stuff like this, like having a conversation and hanging out during Inktober is pretty cool. And I think that's like probably a more meaningful insight into someone's life, having a conversation and getting to know someone versus just like honestly like flexing art supplies and advertising art stuff, or just like advertising products and stuff. And I know people are going to come at me like, oh my gosh, that's like contradicting because you do advertise like certain skincare and like whatever on your Instagram. And yeah, I do. And the products that I do advertise generally, they're things that make me feel good. They're products and brands that have really nice attributes about them, and that products that work for my super sensitive skin, or just like my personal aesthetics. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And yeah, I'm not being sponsored by some of those companies or brands and products that I advertise. But yeah, but I've noticed with the art industry, like, these brands have no obligation to sponsor and like send out product, but in a way I feel like they should support some of the artists if they want their stuff to be talked about. But I guess perhaps the reason why they don't sponsor anyone is because they know that they kind of have a stronghold, a strong grip on the industry, kind of like Adobe Creative Suite. And they know that if their product, their software, and their supplies didn't exist, we wouldn't have really a career, because we do need those tools sometimes, right? Some of us need those tools. I'm not saying all artists need those tools. I'm saying like, there's many different ways. You can use spaghetti as art supplies. You could use, anything really, like bricks as art supplies. But some of us need those special pens and markers and chalk, and some of us need Photoshop. And so I think that's why you don't really see too many advertisements. I mean, I think actually Creative Suite, Adobe does do a fair amount of advertising, but like most pastel brands, and like you won't ever really see a commercial on TV for for an art store or like, sketchbooks.
Right.
And I think they do that because they know that there's enough people buying their stuff, because again, without their products, not that you wouldn't have a career, but you wouldn't have reliable art. So like it's kind of like a necessity thing. Like they know you need it. So
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, there's enough artists like promoting them when
yeah, right, for free. Yeah, and I don't mind promoting it for free, but that's, again, I don't like right now in this day and age with the supply chain shortage, it's scary. And am I hoarding art supplies? Yeah, kind of. Am I willing to share it? No, because I don't want anyone to I don't want it to get any further into the crazy, panic mode. But anyways, just like one of the many ways to survive as a freelance artist. But yeah, I think in general, like I would prefer to have a one-on-one conversation and like get to know someone versus just like showing off. It just, for me, it's so shallow. And then like once you show something, you can't really make it someone not see it, right? So it's like it just is what it is. It's kind of like when you say something, you can't take it back. You can apologize for it, but you can't. But like when someone sees something, it's like if you saw the trick to a magician's trick, or if a magician revealed their trick, then it's not magic anymore. And I'm not saying I'm a magician, but part of the mystique and the fun of artwork, yeah, it's to see the process, but it's also just to enjoy and like see the person drawing. When I see someone draw, I'm not like, oh my God, what pen are they using? I'm like looking at their drawing technique, like, wow, yeah, I see how they angled that sphere. I see how they, like they shaded that in, they faded that out, they put more pressure here. I'm not really concerned about the material, because if there's like this like this concept of like, oh, just because I bought it, now all of a sudden I own it. It's like you can buy a book, you can't buy the knowledge in the book. You can buy a pencil, but you can't buy the skill to draw or write. You have to just put in the hours and the hard work. And that's where I think like that's probably also another reason why I don't want to share my my tools and stuff on social media, is because I really don't want people to believe that like, oh, it's because of this pen that's making her draw like that. It's like, no, it's because I spent hours, days, years, like decades practicing and focusing and and like I can't tell you how many times, like how many I think I have like 27 sketchbooks or something completely filled up. And I mean, I lost count, and honestly, I think I lost a few of those sketchbooks because it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to accrue all this stuff. Like for me, I'm just like, okay, the sketchbook's gone. I need to go order 8 more, and that's truly how many, I mean, I'll tell you like how I keep my studio going. Like I generally have at least half a dozen sketchbooks, so I go through them pretty fast. And then these big pencils, I go through them super fast. But beyond that, I'm not going to share anything else, because these things are the foundation. Like, just have a nice, good, solid, reliable pencil and some nice standard paper, and put in the freaking work, people. Put in the work. That's all I've got to say. Put in the work and enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's not all like, like rigorous and like, super. Hello. Hi, Silver Night Cab.
Let me mention Silver Night Cow, and also
Shadow Punk. Hell. Sorry, I'm going off on a rant and I sound really angry, but I promise I'm not angry. And I am passionate about social media, and I'm passionate about privacy. And I think like social media has stripped a lot of our privacy away. And at the end of the day, we all have to remember, like, you don't have to share everything in your life, and you don't have to talk about everything. And sometimes things are more meaningful when they're presented in a specific way. And for me, I personally am not comfortable with sharing, the whole thing. But yeah.
I'm not sure of my recipes.
Not and like that's the thing, is like I don't even have like whatever art supplies I am using. It's like I haven't tried every single pastel in the world. I haven't tried every single pencil, marker in the. I've tried to. I think the number one thing that people can try to do is try every type of supply, try every type of medium, try mosaics, try molding, silicone molding, plaster, clay. Get your hands dirty and like try to play with paper, play with blocks, play with whatever is around you. Art does not have to be on a pen and paper. For me and my career, it starts with a pen and paper. But I really think you can even take protein powder. I mean, I'm really going out there. Like you can take protein powder and make letters out of it. And if you have an iPhone or some kind of a smartphone, you can take really nice quality photos and boom, you've got artwork. I mean, that's what I think is beautiful about graffiti art and these really cool like artists that take mundane things and they just like they totally free form it, and it just really shows you like there is no limit. I just walked in. What's Trisha working on right now? Hey, so I'm actually just working on talking Peter's ear off, but I just sketched a few like letters and things of that nature. These are letter L, S. So I love the letter A. A little chrysanthemum. Sorry, what?
So you do a lot of chalk work and signs.
Yeah, little R. Yeah. With like doilies and stuff. I'm just sketching around. It's Inktober. We can just be free willy-nilly. And also, big advice for or not advice, but like my style of sketching. I'm not afraid to make something stupid and that's really ugly and just amateur. And I feel like whenever I try to, it's kind of like when you try to not break something, you end up breaking something. Like I try to not make something cool. Like it's like the opposite. Like I try to do the opposite. I'm like, it's just gonna look stupid, and then like you'll be surprised. Like, hey. Thank you. Shadowpunk, what's your real name? See, we don't have to share that either. You just be like Shadowpunk.
That's right.
Sir Shadowpunk.
That's his book's name.
Mm-hmm.
Shadowpunk.
Quick PSA about water. Water is amazing for you.
It's funny because like I'm an artist that uses traditional tools, and it's pretty much like I have 3 tools. I use brushes, I use quills, and I use repeatographs, pencils too. But and I see all these YouTubers and they're plugging millions of markers and all these other tools and then all the digital programs and the sites and blah 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 and all this and other stuff and it's it's like them chasing more views. It's not even like I'm sure if it was something that had no interest behind it, then they wouldn't be doing it. Like like how much of it is their interest? I often wonder. Shadowpunk says I don't have one as far as a real name, I guess.
Very cool. I love your real name is Sir Shadowpunk. Yeah. That's very cool.
And Peter drawing a self-portrait. Now this is my attempt to draw some women. I got an idea to do like maybe some punk stickers. We'll see. So I'm just doodling, seeing what comes out. And we got Junior Comix. Welcome. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Sorry, I'm drawing a letter V right now. I'm just like.
B's are intense.
V. Oh, V for Victoria. I should do it like an S for Shadowpunk. So cool. I go by Shadowpunk and nothing else. That's pretty awesome, actually. Hey, there's people that go like Mr. Cartoon. He goes by Mr. Cartoon and not his real name. So there's definitely.
Yeah. There's people with not real names. You know, like
I mean, those are very real.
I have a friend, you know, who had a normal name, but he wanted to be called Gaz, so he got it legally changed.
Wow.
I guess I think
Shadowpunk.
that was a high school. Um, there you go. That's cool.
Shadowpunk. Why not? Oh,
That
and the
was a
letter
high
B that I
school
made.
nickname, I think. Gaz was, but um, but yeah, I mean, you know, I was thinking about what you're saying about, you know, how much you want to give away. It's like I'm pretty open, but I'm not revealing everything. It's like, yeah, you don't want to take people into the toilet. It's like,
Yeah,
there's no
like why?
reason. There's no
I
reason to
appreciate bathroom
reveal
jokes. I
everything.
don't. Yeah, I appreciate bathroom jokes. I don't necessarily know if I want people to like. You know what I mean? It's like there's. It's funny to talk. It's cool to talk about it, maybe, but like maybe it's just I don't necessarily need to see it.
All right.
Yeah.
And I did have a point. I forget now.
Sorry to cut you off. Right. It's like when
It's
you go on a date, it's like, I mean, like we're not gonna pretend like no one farts or poops, you know what I mean? But it's like we don't necessarily need to see that on the first date and like
right.
or maybe ever. So I just don't think people seeing my artwork is really like or like my whole like setup, it's really it kind of does feel like an invasion of privacy. It really does, like sometimes.
Oh,
Because just because I like yeah, I have I think like 4,000 followers on Instagram or something. I don't know who all these followers are. Maybe some of them are spam, maybe some of them are like criminals. I don't know. And I don't choose to see the worst in people. Like I'm not paranoid, but you really don't know who's out there. And I've already had several people, several different attempts to hack into my account. So it's like,
yeah.
and with all the break-ins, like, you know, not that I'm a celebrity of any sort, but you don't know who's looking at your stuff and like who's trying to like, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm not gonna. It's just like I wouldn't post my my address on social media. I'm not gonna necessarily show um my whole art supplies and that type of it just I guess my art
Yeah.
supplies are kind of like diamond rings. Why would I show someone like where I keep my diamond rings? You
Right.
know, I just I don't know. But anyways, it's about we're an hour and 3 minutes in. Those look amazing. Those punk girls look so cool.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Telephone
yours
says,
drawing
I love your
style's
drawing style.
amazing. So cool, Shadow Punk.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for understanding me and not gnawing my head off. And yeah. Just don't spoil it. Like, yeah, I don't, you know, it's kind of cool. Like a little behind the scenes, that's cool. But like, I don't need to freaking show the whole entire, you know. And like, think about this: when you go on the studio tours at like Warner Brothers, they're not taking you like they're showing you the studio. They're not showing you all. And I've been to the studio because I've done work at Warner Brothers, and but they're not showing you like the true behind the scenes, like how they're, you know, I mean, it's just regular people doing regular things. I don't think anyone needs to see that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's not the show. You know,
That's
what you
not the
see out front,
show.
yeah, is the show.
Yeah.
So I was thinking regarding like privacy and whatnot, it's
Mhm.
like sort of the reason I'm an artist is basically because I'm a rebel of sorts, you know, like, and I don't want to be doing what everybody else is doing all the time. You know? It's like
Mhm.
that's that's not why I became an artist. You know, it's to do my own
Right.
thing. You know, and that in itself is my art. You know, that
Mhm.
is my expression. That is my and you could choose to do the same yourself, or follow the pack, or whatever floats your boat.
Truly, truly. Well, this was super fun, and I really definitely think we should do this again if you ever have the interest in doing so.
Yeah,
Because you're awesome, and
thanks.
yeah, and this
Who are
was a
you?
really cool. I mean, this is like the first time I've ever like done any type of like sketching live and like sharing people, like my little doodles and whatever. And I really like connecting with your community, and everyone who's been engaging on this live stream
Yeah,
is super cool. And I'm gonna plug my Instagram because I'm about to head out.
yeah.
But please, if you are interested, I would love to connect on Instagram. Type by Trish, and I'll
I
follow you
put
right
your
back.
link. I put your link tree down below in the video description, so that has your Instagram, that has your Twitter. I haven't. It has a lot of links in it,
Yeah, it's
so
just
people
type by
can
Trish across
go.
the board. But thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you for doing that, Peter. And yeah, I'd love to connect with everyone. I think the world is an ever expanding place. And it's more beautiful when you can get to know your peers and other people who are living on this earth. And it's, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to meet different people. And um, yeah. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful. And there's a lot of love and peace and light. And who knows, maybe we'll get to know each other even more, and then I'll like send you some private photos of like some of my art supplies, like the tip of this eraser or something. I'll be like, guess what kind of pencil that is, and guess what
oh.
size lead that is, but
It's not the size of the lead, um,
but yeah, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I love connecting with people, and it truly is a privilege. So it's really
yeah,
cool. And thank you
yeah.
so much for having me, and for sharing your artwork. And I'm
Thanks.
honored to be the 275th guest on your live stream, right?
Well, I mean,
Or 200. Sorry,
it,
did I
it's
flip the numbers? Like 257? I forget how many. You've got quite a few live
well,
streams.
yeah. I got just over 800 videos. This series I created because I was all over the place doing different things, and I was like, let me give it some focus. And every episode hasn't had guests, so it's not 275, but um,
Okay.
it's 275 in this series. Yeah, my pleasure having you on. I dig your work, and I always love talking with different type of artists. Definitely, chalk art is something I never personally done. But coming from New York, I've seen plenty out in the streets and doing their thing, and amazing works that they do on walls and roads and everything. Um,
Thank you. Yeah.
but yeah, um, there's samples on this YouTube cover, and they can definitely go to your Instagram and Twitter and check out more of your work.
I love that. That'd be so cool. And my last rant about chalk art, and art in general, I really think, oh, thank you, Shadow Punk. Those menus on your Instagram are insanely cool. Thank you so much. Um, I would say like with a lot of art, I feel like, and design, yes, we can categorize them, and that's why categories exist and like all this stuff. But what I've learned, just based on like the type of work I've done, is like it's all very interconnected,
Yeah,
um and all the principles, they're all pretty similar. It's like you want to display yourself with compelling artwork and compelling text. How is that different than what an advertiser would do, right? So like there's always going to be, I feel like, an advertising element. If you have a web presence, there's for sure an advertising element. Whether or not you
right.
believe it or not, it's because you're advertising yourself.
Yeah,
So there's marketing and advertising element there, period. And then, you know, with photographers, you know, they're composing an image and they're thinking about color. Tell me how that's not related to painting. You know,
Yep.
so there's all, I feel like everything just kind of like crosses into each other. And so, yeah, like as we touched upon before, like even though I'm a chalk artist and I focus on, you know, like maybe weddings, restaurants, theme parks, etc., whatever, because truly the sky's the limit. And maybe I haven't dabbled specifically in comics. It's like we all still share very similar principles and, you know, similar focuses. But anyways, thank you so much again for having me. And I really appreciate you. And I appreciate the community that you've cultivated. They seem like everyone seems like a very loving and amazing person. And I think that's probably because they can tell that you have really good intentions. And I think that's really important in today's world, is to like have good intentions, you know, and just treat everyone with dignity and respect, and just most importantly, love yourself and be cool and be yourself, right? So
Absolutely. I'm just here to spread the love. So
yeah, me too. Totally. Well, thank you so much again. I can't thank you enough. All right, until next time. I hope we get to do this again. I hope I didn't bore you to death. So
not at all. So we'll say goodbye. Thank you everybody for joining.
yeah, and to everyone who tuned in, have an extra, and to you too, Peter, have an extra super wonderful, beautiful, extraordinary fall and week and day and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that'd be
Seize
awesome.
the day.
Seize the day.
All right.